Can I ask you a question? Are you ready to get and keep momentum in your business? I hope so, because it's Penny Elliott here, your host to having the perfect mix of the woo with the do. If you're ready to create the life that you want through a business designed by you, then tune in. Hello! Welcome to another episode of the Get Momentum podcast with me, Penny Elliott, and this is a Penergy shot right for you. And I want to talk to you guys about the importance of getting a coach. Now, of course, I'm going to say this, right? I am a coach. So, of course, I'm going to say this, and you're probably like shaking your head going, Jesus, here we go again, preaching. But I want to show you some tangible results because, you know, when I had the right coach for me, I mean, I had 100K in 100 days, right? I mean, you know, I've written a book about it. So if you don't think it's true, then like go and grab my Amazon #1 bestseller, the Get Momentum book, right? So in here, I talk about my coach. I name her Christina Giandali. She really helped me. We resonated and we worked together well. But I'm of a scientific mindset. And I think I bring everything back to sport because I really think, you know, right from the caveman days, people came together over sport, right? It was the only thing that they really bonded over was sport and storytelling. So both things I love. And I think it really talks to our core inner being. And so I wanted to give you an example of getting a coach in a sports perspective because it's really obvious how you can measure much more tangible results than you can sort of, you know, in business. Well, in my mind anyway. So when I first decided to do an Ironman, which is a long distance triathlon, I'd never even run a marathon before. The distances are a 3.8 kilometer swim, which is 2.4 miles, 180 kilometer bike ride, 106 miles, and a marathon to finish, 42K, 26 miles. And I don't even think I'd run about 10K by the time I entered. And there were some key factors with the success of me going from basically a booze hag to a party girl to a successful Ironman finisher in a respectable time of 13 hours and 5 minutes. And, you know, and we'll get on to how I've increased that or decreased that time as well. But there was some key elements to going from having no idea, but this, you know, itchy seed of thought, which is probably your business idea or your business thought or the next launch or the next thing that you want to do in your business, to a successful Ironman finisher, which is, you know, like it depends on what success looks like for you, but most people in this online world is multiple six figures, right, per year, or an income whilst still being able to look after the household and your family, right? So it's success again is a little bit hard to define the finish line, but I tell you what, if you have a definitive idea of what success looks like for you, then that's great. So it might be, you know, I used to work 6 hours a week with my little guy when he was tiny, and I wanted to bring in 10K a month, right? That to me was success. 6 hours a week, 10K a month. Now he does a little bit more creation. He absolutely loves our nanny. He gave her such a hug this morning. It was so gorgeous. And he calls her MM, and he thinks that she looks like Jacinda, our Prime Minister. So whenever she's on TV, MM, like, I think that might be the Prime Minister, darling. Side note. And so now I obviously work some more hours. So that success bar has completely changed. And now that I am co-parenting, I need to, you know, get a mortgage and look after some bills. And so therefore my success has actually changed to being more consistent client so that the bank thinks, wow, this is amazing. She's got consistent income. So your success measures can be different, but in the sports sense, it's generally a finish line and a medal for a certain distance. And this is why getting a coach in this instance shows you the difference between doing well and not doing well, okay? And how you can take these tangible lessons into the business world. So for me, I absolutely knew I had to get a coach. I had no idea how to build up my training. I'd got a few books. I'm a real big book reader. I'd got a few books and I thought I could follow that plan, but I didn't really understand all of the terminology, the different intensities. I didn't know how to measure those. I wasn't quite sure about did you eat on the bike? Did you wear knickers under your bike shorts? There were so many questions I didn't know. And so I decided when I paid the $900 entry fee, which is crazy entry fee, right? For one day, where, 60 days to 3K is $900 for 60 days of support. I paid $900 for one day of utter pain. And I got a medal at the end of it. When you think about it like that, it is bloody crazy, isn't it? But I decided I needed to get a coach, and I interviewed 3 people to make sure they were right for me. So that's much like you guys listening to this podcast, consuming and binge listening to all of the podcasts, or YouTube videos, whichever platform you're on, grabbing my book, reading it off Amazon. There's the Kindle version there as well, so you can get it straight away, and consuming and making sure that we're the right fit. I swear a lot. I'm pretty direct. And I did think I needed to be a little bit softer, but, that's who I am. And I've got some amazing results with my clients. One lady got $87,000 in 3 weeks from a bit of tough love. Another one had $47,000 in 4 weeks, from a bit of a confidence boost. So I don't think I need to change my approach. We just need to find the right fit. And I interviewed 3 coaches when I went to do my first Ironman, and I picked one and I thought it was fantastic. He also had an amazing group of athletes that we all met on a Saturday, Tuesday night, Thursday night, and Saturdays. And I've made lifelong friends through that because they were right there for me. And you know what? Some nights I'd slip back into that booze hag, especially for a Sunday morning long run. And I'd been out the night before and I was like, there's no way I'm getting out of bed. But because I had that accountability in our group, I was like, oh God, I can't miss it. I have to go. And like last week, Justin turned up and he was so hungover, but he still ran. So if I don't turn up this week, they are going to be on the phone to me going, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? And by having a coach who set the program for me, by having that group of people that, and the coach knew exactly how to step it up, build up my strength, build up my speed, build up my endurance, when to back it off. He knew all of that because he'd been a professional athlete before and trained and coached people for years and years. And that took all of the thought process out of it. I just got given the program every week and I just had to follow it. And just having to follow it was actually enough for my brain to cope with and all these new moving pieces and bits and puzzles. Then having that support group around me and accountability meant that I stayed consistent. It meant that I actually showed up and did the work. And even though I might have been a bit hungover for a 2-hour run, it was way better to turn up and like plod around for 2 hours than it was to stay in bed and do nothing, which is what I would have done if I didn't have that accountability group. I then got myself a nutritionist because I knew that I didn't really have the right nutritional ideas. And she did tell me that 2 bacon and egg McMuffins and an orange juice before heading out to a race was not a good idea, much to my disappointment. She told me I had to get up at least 2 hours beforehand and have a bagel with peanut butter and a banana. I was like, what? I'm not getting up 2 hours early. I can just go through drive-through on the way. It's way quicker, way faster. But she explained to me the benefits and how that would help fuel my body a whole lot better. And once I understood that, boom, there was a huge advantage right there. Not only did I get a bit leaner, which meant I was a bit lighter, so it meant I went a bit faster, but I was also fueled to be a lot stronger, right? And that was super important because that helped my brain and my body get there. I got myself a sports psychologist because I knew that I can easily slip in my mind. And especially, I don't know if you guys have ever tried to sit in silence for 4 hours. I made it to 3 one day. It was an exercise we've been set and I still haven't made it to 4. But you try and be on a bike for 180 kilometers, which could be anywhere between 5 and 8 hours on your own, staring at the road, Sure, you got a bit of scenery, but like if you're not cycling fast, that scenery ain't going fast. It can be windy. It can be pouring with rain. It can be slippery. All these other people going past you real fast. Or otherwise, even worse, you've got someone who's like about the same speed as you and you like swapping places the whole time because you're not allowed to draft. You're not allowed to sit behind anyone's wheels. So you have to be like, 2 car lengths away from everyone. It's kind of like COVID, but in racing. It's fucking boring. I'm sorry, but it is, 6 hours of staring down and your neck's getting sore, your legs are getting sore, your feet are swelling. Don't even let me explain to you what happens to the nether regions in your butt, because that's like past an explicit E logo on a podcast episode. It's boring, right? So you have to be super sound of mind. And, it's the same in business. Building a funnel, and what, we've definitely found out doing done for you services, which we only offer to the elite now, is it takes a lot of work. It's really hard work. And you have to stay focused and concentrate, and you can't drop the beat. And if you do, things fall through the cracks, right? And so I went and saw a sports psychologist about how I could keep my mind steady and strong. And it's the same in business. Everyone tells you need to work on your mindset. It's because some days it's bloody boring. Some days it's bloody hard. I had a really bad day a couple of weeks ago. I almost wrote my car off in my own driveway. I lost 3 clients in one day because one client was particularly nasty about me to other clients. So that's always a joyful occasion to try and mitigate, I guess. And then at the end of the day, I pinched my finger between 2 pieces of Duplo Lego when I was putting them away for Josh. And I just thought, you know what, fuck this. This is the end of the day. I'm going to bed. So as an entrepreneur, you have to have a strong mindset. And I knew as an athlete, I had to have a strong mindset. So I went and got some, sports psychology help. I paid for that. And so with this team surrounding me, I went from a booze hag, basically, to, I hope my mum doesn't listen to this, to triathlete Ironman, Mike Riley calling out, "You are an Ironman," as I crossed the finish line. And it took me probably 3 or 4 months, I think, from start to finish. And I made it. I did it. So what I want to show from that is, so then the flip side of that is I've done Ironmans before where I have trained myself and done it by myself and not done very well. I didn't stick to a nutritional plan. I had a roast meal the night before. I mucked around. I ended up having to do a poo in someone's driveway because I had such an upset stomach. I hadn't done any of my mindset exercises before this particular race. I begged the ladies after the swim to go and get my all-day clothes bag because I didn't want to get on the bike. I just didn't even want to do the bike, let alone, finish the race. And I was crying in the change tent, and luckily the lady said to me, "Come on dear, it's all right," and just literally took me out of my wetsuit, my togs, and dressed me into my bike clothes and sort of ushed me out the door and onto my bike. And I cried for the whole first lap. DM me if you through Instagram if you want the photo of me crying on my bike. Like, I'm not lying, it was horrendous. And so I hadn't done any of my psychology exercises beforehand. I hadn't got myself mentally strong. The water was freezing cold and they held us for half an hour in there. And instead of thinking, it's going to get better, it's going to get better, it's going to get better, I need to swim faster, all I wanted to think was like, screw this, I'm out, this sucks, I don't want to do this is horrible, I'm out. And it just was, a perpetual mess. And the whole day was dreadful. And you know what? My time wasn't, was totally fine. I wasn't last, and it doesn't matter if you are last anyway, you're still finishing it. But what I'm trying to say is, without that group of people around me that I had, accountability for, I hadn't done the training, I hadn't done the mental exercises, I certainly hadn't stuck to a nutritional plan. Like, no one wants to do a poo in someone's driveway because they can't make it to the porta potty, right? And it was a dreadful day. And the worst thing was, I'd paid for it. I'd paid another $900 for that entry fee. and polar opposite experience. And it was all down to the fact that I hadn't got a coach. I hadn't had surrounded myself with those people to make it an enjoyable experience, both during the training and on race day. I hadn't stuck to a nutritional plan, like i.e. a plan of business, a plan of attack. I hadn't stuck to what I knew worked for me, and I hadn't done my mindset work. So I was just letting all the negativity seep in and take over me. And so when I look at that, it's glaringly, those two examples, it was glaringly obvious the importance of a coach and having those people around me and accountability and sticking to a plan that I knew worked, or that someone else knew worked and gave to me, and I stuck to it to the T. So why in business is it that people chop and change all over the shop floor and don't stick to one plan? And I think that's why we've got 98% success rate in 60 days to 3K, because we give you one formula, we give you one way of reaching people organically, and we give you one way of paid reach, which happens in the background while you're doing the organic reach. And literally, if you just focus on these things, you won't need to worry about all the other shiny lights out there. You will just stick to these, and it will become this like money-making machine within your business. And who doesn't want that? Like, why do we have to make things so complicated? Why do we, deviate? And so if you are, if you're doing courses at the moment or you have dabbled in this and dabbled in that, then don't make yourself feel bad for it. Just know that it's because you haven't got the accountability. It's not the right fit. And you're probably not surrounding yourself with the right people. So if you want to surround yourself with the right people and get that accountability, and you think that we're the right fit, you enjoy listening to my podcast and listening to the interviews and seeing the amazing high profile people that we surround ourselves with here at Penny Elliott Coaching, then jump on in. 60 days to 3K. The link is in the show notes down below, and we would love to help you get to 3K. And you might think, oh, I'm already past that. But are you consistently past that every month? Because, this theory, or these consistent client formula that we use within the program is something that you can do for 3K months, 5K months, 50K months. It's completely scalable. So if this interests you, and if you think, oh my God, I do not want to have another failed quarter, I do not want to be worried about those bloody credit cards over Christmas, or you don't want to be faced with another sort of like pandemic type move or shift that could affect your ability to have financial stability, then make sure you jump into 60 days to 3K. You get some awesome bonuses. I'm not going to say what they are because we're pre-recording this, and they go on a first come, first served basis. They're not on a time basis. So whoever's in first, because we like to reward the action-taking woman who really just decide and go for it, because that's what it's all about. You quids in, you go for it. And then there's some amazing bonuses. There's also live calls, but the main thing is the transformation. We know it works. 98% of our clients who've been through the program knows that it works for them for 3K or more. And once you hit 5K, if you do 5K or more within the program, you get $1,000 check in the post from me to use towards any other future coaching or future programs and courses or products that we have within the business. And also, when you get that 3K, you get to get on our honors wall, which is a real coveted area within the internet and in the entrepreneurial space. So I know you're interested because you're still listening. So jump on over to the show notes and hit on the 60 days to 3K link, and we will see if we can squeeze you in before our start date. Much love.